Welcome. Want to do a reading with all the current events in mind. You know, there's been a lot in the news and social media about revelations or whistleblowing, exposure of people that we always like. It's pretty much not really a no. What do you call it? It's a no-brainer. It's not really a surprise to most people, the names involved, or maybe it is to you. But I think the fact that things are coming out in the ways that they're coming out might be a shock to people. Like, wow, so much to digest at once. And I am aware that this is just the tip of the iceberg. There will be more revelations. There will be more exposures of people's wrongdoings in an effort to once and for all finally heal us as a collective, you know, to heal this the ills of society that just go unnoticed or unchallenged, or just like, you know, enough is enough kind of moment. And this is just the beginning of that. So with that in mind, let's see what Spirit wants to say about this moment. Let's see which deck first. And these issues are trying, you know, they're not light, they're very heavy. So try to balance it out with lightness. You know, anything that makes you feel uplifted, joyful, the opposite of the, although it's very important to uncover these dark truths, you need to balance your mind, your energy with something that is not corrupt, that is not dark and illegal, sinister. So anything that can bring you to a place of lightness. I don't have another word for it other than feeling lighter. It's a balance. Some will just dwell only on these dark topics and only think about the unjust and the injustices of the world. And they stay low vibrational. And then some would say, oh, let's fly high in the sky and never think about these issues. Because if we just stay high in the sky all the time, then they'll just go away by like everything rising up to us. I think there's a balance. I think we need to give attention to these injustices because they need to be called out. There needs to be accountability. There needs to be an end to it. So let's do that, but let's not stay there and drown in it or dwell in it where it takes over our lives completely, you know. So with everything, it's a balance. I guess I'll be using a few decks. Right. Let's try to ask a question to Spirit. All right. Okay, Spirit. Why now? Why now? People have been predicting that now is the time. They say some say it's written, it's already done, so to speak. But can the cards reflect why now we getting so much exposure? Unknown, puzzle. Illusion, confusion. Okay, mystery. I laugh because it's like the obvious, you know, Spirit answering like, I'm not going to give you the answer. It's going to remain an unknown. However, I think this is saying it's been too much illusion and confusion placed on people as far as, well, we'll never be rid of this big, huge dilemma, injustice, and the entanglements, the web, the networking involved in it. How do we as individuals or even collectively in groups tackle this? So it's an illusion that is too big of a mountain to climb. So I think that's what Spirit is saying now is a time where people will be shown that it can be tackled brick by brick, bit by bit. This is just the tip of the iceberg. It's going to be bigger and bigger and bigger of an unveiling, so to speak. Okay, Spirit, what else? Anything else about right now or why now? And why in this manner? Why bit by bit? Why show us at all? Sorry, the unspoken apology, eternal regret. I am sorry. I'm taking this as in these are things that there's no sorry that's going to make it better. You can't come back from these atrocities that are being exposed now. Whether it's in the headline news or it's just, something that's happening to Jimmy down the block or, Rosie around the corner. Unspoken apology, eternal regret. Again, I'm thinking that this whole sorry means that's not enough. This has to be dealt with. This is huge stuff that has gone on for far too long unchecked. And there is no sorry, I made a mistake. It's not a mistake. And two came out together. Silence and mirror. Silence, of course, keep your mouth shut, nothing changes, right? There's been whistleblowers there, not only with their microphone on channel 6 or the 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock news, but also, people that you never will hear of, anonymous callers, that kind of thing. People who are tapped in and have information through ways that are unconventional, let's just say. There's so many ways that this corruption is being dealt with once and for all. So no more silence, no more keeping quiet. And mirror, reflection, reference, distinguish, appearance came up with silence. I think people looking at themselves in the mirror, as these stories become highlighted and talked about more and become, people, I guess fascination has its part to play because with people being so absorbed and focused on it, it gets attention. And then maybe people will look themselves in the mirror and say, well, where do I fall in this? But, just even thinking about putting yourself in the shoes of victims or putting yourself in the shoes of the perpetrators or the networking or whatever, you at least your attention is drawn to it finally. All right, now I'll do open-ended Spirit. What do you want to say? Wow, as I break it, apology again. Spirit, I think it's like, that's not enough. Not for these crimes, not for these crimes against humanity, in particular against children, the innocent. There is no sorry for that. Okay. Escaping, avoiding. Now, this can be the perpetrators. They've been escaping and avoiding consequences and accountability for a very long time. But this is also society or your regular Joe Schmo who escapes this, and it just goes on and on. People are being harmed and damaged, and as long as you don't think about it, it's not happening. Escaping it. At the bottom again, apology. Spirit is saying, I want to pull it. We're going to have to do a spread on apology, just that alone. Wow. Escape. Okay. And then we have lusting, forbidden, unconventional, non-committed, actual energy with breaking point, the limit, the final straw, overwhelmed. Wow. I'm just saying this breaking point card with the scratches on the door, that is a very dark image for me with this lusting and forbidden. And then we have even escaping. This could be literally a story here that goes on all too often. And Spirit may want to highlight that so it's not glossed over. This is not something that you can separate yourself from the evil ugliness of it. Okay. One more from your Spirit. Sorry. Thank you. Okay, two more. Emotional storm with obscurity. Wow. Okay. Okay. Secrets and mysteries with an emotional storm. Unaffected, unstable turmoil. By me, looks like a child with their hands covering their eyes, like crying alone. In secret, obscure, nobody knows about it, concealed. Boundaries. Enough. Yes. It goes without saying, my heart is with children, you know, or anyone innocent, you know, and being taken advantage of. I often ask why. Why are they even allowed in this world? But God has, you know, a way of dealing with things that I'll never understand. But I can tell you this, rectifying the situation, holding people accountable, exposing them, shutting these networks down is nothing more that makes me satisfied. And I hope that people will become just as enthused about that. I think that's what's happening. So I say hallelujah to that. Glory, glory. Praise his name. Okay, I did say I would do a spread on the apology. See what Spirit wants to say about that. Why do you keep showing me sorry and apology? Other than what I've said, maybe I'm missing something. Two of Swords. Crossroads, denial. I'm taking it again. It could be someone who doesn't want to say sorry, doesn't think they have anything to be sorry for. They are in self-denial. Or it could just be you're blocking any apologies. Like me, you feel like when it comes to this, there is no sorry. Page of Pentacles. A young person, automatically what I'm thinking. could be like payment, offering, or doing something for money, you know, that kind of thing as well. So we'll get one more. Finances being involved in these networks that operate with this kind of pain and damage. It's a pain and damage industry. Wow, death. Change, I'm hoping. This is all about change, you know, a real permanent transformation kind of change, not just like, you know, temporary change or, you know, something that we are all up in arms about for 5 minutes and then, you know, even if I would be truthful to you, we may not even see accountability. I'll be very surprised if it's something that is done legally. But this kind of accountability, or I'm sorry, highlighting, you know, especially that I feel that the divine is wanting this to be highlighted now. There's a reckoning spiritually where it really counts, and this won't go unchecked. Let me just say that. So that's probably more important than anything that you would wait for down here with, you know, the 6 o'clock news, so to speak. All right, so for the future, can I get a hopeful outlook? Regarding this, thank you. We have number 19, flexible. Okay, so flexible. What's this about? Serendipity. Okay. Serendipity is, of course, like about like everything happening, you know, like destiny, or when it's supposed to, or in alignment, like synchronicities, things like that that just fall in place as it should. And then you have flexible. Maybe this is about being flexible as a whole, as a collective, and how we expect these accountabilities to play out, the reckoning to play out, to be flexible on the signs that we see, you know, that we're seeing now. Be flexible and probably patient with it is what I'm getting from that. Between worlds. Right now we are at a, you know, midpoint, I would say, or like we basically in between stage. We're not here yet, but we're also not here. We're not here. We're not here. So we're moving toward there, and that's something that we should celebrate or be proud of. Be happy about, be hopeful. There's the word, hopeful. It should keep us in a hopeful state. So I just want to mark the occasion with a reading, channel something from spirit, see what needs to be said. And remember, don't let it just keep you low vibe, down. You know, take action, care. But also, you know, people, we are free. There's many people who are free. Children, light beings, you know, innocence. So let's live and celebrate that, you know. And I will see you in the next reading.